The Political Council of the ALBA-TCP met this Thursday at the United Nations with an agenda that included the definition of strategies to help face the challenges of current geopolitics, climate crisis, and the unilateral coercive measures. And the general debate of the 79th session of the United Nations General Assembly continues as world leaders discuss world challenges. In Lebanon, death toll from Israeli attacks rose to 72 in less than 24 hours. Hello and welcome to From the South. My name is Beren de los Santos. I'm from teleSUR Studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. The Political Council of the ALBA-TCP met this Thursday at the United Nations with an agenda that included the definition of strategies to help face the challenges of current geopolitics, the climate crisis, and unilateral coercive measures. This way, leaders of member countries agreed that the meeting served as a new opportunity to analyze the achievements reached by the integrationist bloc. In this context, the Foreign Minister of Venezuela, Iván Gil, stressed that the country remains undefeated in defending its right to build a new social order, to live in peace and stability. In addition, Foreign Minister Gil also denounced the imperialist onslaught faced today by the nations of the regional bloc and highlighted the united response to the unilateral coercive measures imposed against Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua.
The implementation of the 2030 Agenda and the united response to the unilateral coercive measures imposed against Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua are a testimony to our determination to confront and overcome these obstacles.
We are not content to resist, we are building, with strategic vision, a new stage of cooperation that will allow us to advance in economic, agricultural, and financial development. The creation of the ALBA-TCP Development Cooperation Agency will allow us to carry out a multilateral offensive to allocate resources for integral development projects in our countries, hand in hand with Petrocaribe, but also with extra-regional allied countries.
And at the United Nations headquarters, the third day of the 79th session of the UN General Assembly is underway. We've been closely following the speeches made today by the representatives and heads of state of Palestine and Sudan, among others. To bring us the latest on this and the highlights from this day, our special envoy Jorge Gestoso from New York.
Thank you. In this third day of the general debate here at the United Nations, this morning we heard the presentation of the President of the Authority of Palestine. We're talking about Mr. Mahmoud Abbas. He put emphasis that he was not here to respond to the lies, as he mentioned in that term, what has been doing and saying the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, about the situation. He said that definitely is asking the international community to stop right away, immediately, he says, the crimes, and then he go even further, the genocide that is being victim, the people of Palestine. He said that 70% of Gaza has been destroyed. He's asking, for example, the United States and international community to stop sending arms and weapons to Israel. He's asking the release, and it's pretty interesting that he's asking the release of both sides, for both sides of the prisoners of the Palestinian side and also of the Israeli side. There are, according to his words and terms, 7,000 prisoners in the hands of Israel. He's asking full stop. He's asking the beginning of the authority in terms of helping the humanitarian aid that is needed desperately. He said there's nothing, absolutely nothing in Gaza, and definitely they need the support of the international community. As we were coming on the air, we were hearing the beginning of the speech of the transitional president of Haiti, and curiously, he mentioned the issue of the Haitians living in Springfield in the United States, that it says that he salute and congratulate that community because of his trajectory of being perfect, enviable citizens in that country, opposite of what is being used by the candidate, Donald Trump, the presidential candidate, that he tried to criticize the Haitian community, saying that the Haitian community on that town is eating cats and dogs. So he said, definitely we do not accept that our community of Haiti in the United States that has a perfect record is being used in the political campaign. And definitely he said that there's a situation in Haiti that is very, very delicate. As you know, there has been sent 1,000 policemen from Kenya to try to restore security, a country that is, at least in its capital, Port-au-Prince, is being managed or ruled almost in a big percentage of gangs. So in the rest of the morning, we expect the president of Uruguay to take his turn. In the afternoon, we expect the representatives of Costa Rica and Peru also having turns in this third day of the general debate. We get back to you now.
Now let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Of the president of the
Welcome back from the South. In Venezuela, President Nicolás Maduro affirmed that the country is a part of a new world geopolitics and condemned the destabilization attempts of the global far right against the nation. In an exclusive interview on our multi-platform teleSUR, the president pointed out that Venezuela, together with countries such as China, Iran, and India, are forming a new defense bloc against the hegemonic colonialist nations. In this sense, the Venezuelan head of state considered that together with the BRICS and the efforts of the people, the Bolivarian Republic will achieve a historic victory against the fascism of the global far right. The president assured that Venezuela is being an example to the world of an admirable nation that fights in favor of the people, despite the multiple threats and obstacles imposed by Western nations.
Nosotros estamos construyendo la nueva geopolítica mundial.
We are building the new world's geopolitics. We are part. We've been protagonists for many years of the new world's geopolitics. Modestly, we can say from Venezuela, the land of the liberators, not by chance. Here arose Francisco de Miranda, Simón Bolívar, Antonio José de Sucre, a generation of virtuous. Simón Rodríguez, Andrés Bello, Josefa Joaquina Sánchez, Luisa Cáceres de Arismendi, born on a day like today, Rafael Urdaneta, among so many. Let's say leaders and top leaders of the world. Venezuela today is a world's reference in the political, moral, and spiritual spheres, because we are in the center of a huge battle, and Venezuela is the object of great admiration in the whole world, because we have known how to fight this battle, and we have known how to obtain great victories in spite of being a besieged, persecuted, threatened, and blockaded country.
President Nicolás Maduro affirmed that from the Casa de Nariño in Colombia, attacks with the Pegasus system against Venezuela were conceived in order to harm the country.
The Nariño Palace was a machine of crime and murder and espionage. So we have been victims. Today I've seen the scandal in Colombia about the Pegasus system. many of the things I've read are true. And Colombia, Venezuela, we are all asking ourselves, in whose hands is this espionage system? What is it being used for now? I do know. It is being used to try to overthrow President Petro simultaneously and try, at the same time, to harm us in Venezuela.
And we now move on to other topics. In Lebanon, death toll from the Israeli attacks rose to 72 in the last 24 hours. The death toll in Lebanon since last October 8th has reached 1,247, and the number of wounded has reached 5,278. Lebanon's Ministry of Health confirmed on Wednesday that the death toll from Israel's bombardment of southern and eastern Lebanon has risen to 72, while the number of wounded has reached 392. Israel began massive attacks on southern and eastern Lebanon on Monday morning, believed to be the most violent, widespread, and intense since the fighting began nearly a year ago and since the 2006 war. And Japan's campaign for the election of a new prime minister comes to a conclusion on Thursday as the leader of the Liberal Democratic Party finalizes details for the election of the party's new leader, who will assume the charge of prime minister. The Liberal Democratic Party primaries are scheduled for September 27th, when its members and parliamentarians vote to elect the new president of the organization, who will replace Fumio Kishida, the current leader. Kishida announced on August 14th that he would retire from office, motivated by the need for a change in the party after being immersed in political financial scandals and an economic crisis that caused increases in the costs of living and worries in the Japanese people. And also in Japan, Iwao Hakamada, the longest-serving man on death row, was acquitted by a court on Thursday after spending 47 of his 88 years in prison. Hakamada, a former professional boxer, was imprisoned in 1966 and 2 years later was sentenced to death for the murder of the owner of the fermented soybean factory where he worked and the owner's family, after a new investigation in 2014 showed that the DNA found on the bloody garments did not match Hakamada's. The Japanese citizen was released to await a retrial. By the time the case was reopened, Hakamada had already entered the Guinness Book of Record for being the man who spent the longest time on death row.
The ruling was what we expected and should be given. It's been a very long fight. Our next action is to demand that prosecutors not appeal.
Hakamada was not treated with dignity for half a century, so that is why I am here to support him. With this real, innocent verdict, I hope he will spend the rest of his life with dignity.
And we have a second show break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English. There you will be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcastings, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back from the south. In Cuba, authorities in the province of Pinar del Rio reported significant damage to electric service and agricultural after the passage of Hurricane Helene. The main damages were concentrated in the municipalities of Mantua, Guan, and Sandino, where damage to vegetable and tobacco crops were also reported. Brigades from 3 Cuban provinces are expected to arrive on Thursday morning to support the repair of the affected infrastructure. Due to weather conditions, about 800 people are expected to return to their homes starting next Monday. And in Mexico, the National Meteorological Service reported this September 25th that Hurricane Helene, Category 1 on the Saffir-Simpson scale, remains near the northern coast of the state of Quintana Roo in the Mexican Caribbean, and in the next few hours will intensify to a Category 2 as it moves away from the territory. In its most recent report, the National Meteorological Service informed that Helene's cloud bands originate intense to occasional torrential rain, strong wind gusts, and high waves in the Yucatan Peninsula. The municipality of Benito Juárez is so far the most affected by this impact, with reports of heavy flooding in the city and hotel zone, downed trees, flight cancellations, as well as problems with the electric power supply.
For now, we can confirm that Isla Mujeres, Benito Juárez, Puerto Morelos, Cozumel, and Lázaro Cárdenas are under red alert. Maximum danger. Everyone at home without moving. Everyone at home, no moving.
And meanwhile, in Argentina, residents of Córdoba affected by the fires protest while Milei flies over the area to assess the damage. Local residents protested against the government management of the fires that have devastated the central region of the country, while President Javier Milei flew over the area on a helicopter to assess the damage, but did not make any public statement or approach the firefighters. More than 200 firefighters are working with the support of hydrant planes to extinguish the main outbreak located near Capilla del Monte, 100 kilometers north of the provincial capital of Córdoba. According to records, in the last 6 days, more than 52,000 hectares of vegetation were burned. Authorities maintain the extreme fire risk alert throughout the province.
I'm here today to support the local people because the way this fire has been handled is terrible, incredibly unprofessional. People have lost their homes, their livelihoods. It's not good enough. The response is not good enough. I'm here to make some noise and support my local community.
The reality is devastating. The fire has destroyed everything. I have never seen such devastation, despite the amount of fire this place has suffered. The economic and environmental losses are enormous. We have dead animals. We don't know the exact number.
And like this, we've come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And also join us on social media. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and also on TikTok. For TeleSUR English, my name is Belén de los Santos. Thank you for watching.